I hope you had a good time yesterday. And yeah, I would like to start with saying thank you to Marta, to Kasia, Boris, and all the guys from Snowdog, with Kuba, for organizing this event. I don't know if you are aware, but there are more than 600 people this year on Magento Poland, so it's a great number. Okay, so my name is Piotr Siejczuk. I'm working at Accenture, and today, together with my colleague Krzysztof, we will make a presentation about going serverless with Magento on Google Cloud platform. So, to start with, what actually serverless mean? You guys know? Because the funny thing is that the name was invented or starting to be used before actually the definition of serverless was introduced. So, of course, it's not like there are no servers behind, but yeah, we are not, let's say, we are not provisioning servers by our own. So basically that means that the cost and all the management of the servers is not on our end, it's on basically the provider, so in this case on Google Cloud platform. It also means that you don't have to think about security related things. It's also being taken care of by the provider. So yeah, another, let's say, reduction and improvement in the setup of your architecture. Additional thing, you are only paying for the resources that you are actually using. So it's like you don't pay fixed amount. If you're using more resources, then of course you're gonna pay a bit more. If you're not using the resources, you're gonna go lower with those costs. Basically, it also allows to do auto scaling to meet the demand in terms of traffic. So you won't have to think too much or be scared about days like Black Friday or any other marketing campaigns, flash sales, and so on. So that's, let's say, on the operational level. In terms of developer side, well, you don't have to think about the infrastructure, you don't have to think about the servers. What you should do, you should just basically focus on programming and deliver the high quality of your solution, right? It's also an event-driven approach. Yeah. So a bit of, let's say, history, how it started. So as you know, like a few years ago, the standard was like to have a physical machines or shared servers. Later on, the virtual machines were introduced, right? Then, well, just a moment ago, we had a presentation about Kubernetes, so containers. And nowadays, we have the PaaS, so platform as a service solutions, and even going even further, we have function as a service. Yeah. So, what are, let's say, the pros and cons of going serverless in terms of environments? So let's maybe start with the bad things. In terms of managing, well, this is not, let's say, strictly with Magento, but generally speaking, in terms of serverless approach, there are, let's say, at this moment, there are some issues in terms of managing the versioning of the function as a service components in terms of deployments. And basically, the people, the team who is going to work on the solution, they really need to know how the serverless approach is done. So it's, let's say, kind of hard to introduce new people to the team. On the other hand, in terms of advantages and positive things, right? We have a significant cost reduction because we are not, let's say, managing the environments by our own. It's managed by the provider. Then, as I said already a moment earlier, the developers don't have to think about the servers anymore. They are just, developing. So what they like, what they should do. Then, as I also mentioned, it allows to do auto scaling. Well, let's say in a blink of an eye, more or less. so we don't have to be worried about flash sales, Black Friday events, and so on, right? So when there's more traffic, the system will scale automatically up to provide the proper experience to the end user. And well, if it comes to serverless, you should kind of treat this as having a Lego. You're just building something from already existing blocks. So it's the same with serverless. So you are using some components. You don't have to write things on your own. Okay, so another thing I would like to talk is about the CI/CD topic, so continuous integration, continuous delivery. And in terms of serverless approach at Google Cloud Platform, there are a few options. I'll talk briefly about two. So yeah, one is to use Cloud Build. So basically, it's a tool set that allows you to do the whole pipeline of continuous delivery and continuous integration kind of like automatically and really quickly. You can basically use it to deploy on different environments like Kubernetes or Firebase. And in terms of routines, that would be to use Cloud Functions, Knative, or App Engine. And yeah, as I said, it basically allows you to automate the things that make the whole flow much easier for you. So yeah, you won't have to think too much. The developers will just push the code and it will land on the proper environments. The next thing, the other option is to use basically App Engine to deploy Magento. Basically, in this approach, it's recommended to create two VPCs in terms of subnets. One will hold the application itself, so Magento, and the other one would be responsible for search, cache, and messaging components. So this is also related to security. Basically, the second subnet is just having internal access to the application. They are not connected directly to public internet. Right? We basically decided to focus on App Engine, not on Kubernetes, because that's another option that you can use to deploy. And I think it's actually better because, well, we just had a presentation about Kubernetes, so yeah. Well, then I think, Krzysztof, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I hope I won't hurt you. So hello, once again, Krzysztof Zalasa. I'm working in Google Cloud. I'm acting here as customer engineer. So every single day I'm helping our customers to use GCP services and GCP resources. And a lot of our customers are using Magento as well. So it's very popular, it's very common e-commerce platform. And based on our input from customers, which is very important for us, for Google, we prepared this solution, this architecture, which we are presenting here. So it's an approach designed to scale, which Piotr said. It's very important to be able to handle massive load during massive peaks of load during special events. But it is not, let's say, all what e-commerce do. But let's talk about it a bit later. Okay, so let's start from App Engine. It might be a bit surprise for you because we're speaking about serverless. App Engine has been created in 2008, 10 years ago. So it's quite mature product, and it might be a little bit weird for you because serverless is a buzzword present in IT, let's say, for 4 years. But in Google we are doing it, let's say, for 10 years, but it's named serverless for, let's say, 4 or 3 of them. Okay, have you chance to play with App Engine? Someone? Okay, one person. Okay, so there are two options for it. First is called standard. You might just deploy application prepared in a well-defined language. It's, for instance, PHP 7.2 is in beta, so it will be available soon, I hope, and it might be interesting for you. But today we are focusing on flexible app engine. It's second version, which makes possible to deploy Docker containers in quite easy way. You are just focusing on preparing a container instead of all bells and whistles which are required for more complex setups. Okay, so in App Engine, what is the most important thing? Unit is an application. We are talking about flexible, so it's packed as a Docker container. A trigger is triggered by HTTP. And scaling factors. So, you might choose two. There are 3 points, but it's about number of requests per second, and about max CPU utilization. So, for instance, you might decide that when your node is CPU on your node is utilized, let's say, in 80%, then it shall add one more, and one more, and one more. Of course, you need to define max level of these nodes in terms of control costs, right? Nobody wants to pay $1 million by accident. And regarding throughput, you are focusing on limiting number of requests which shall be handled by single node. You might just measure it during performance tests or something like this. Okay, why it's so interesting? First of all, zero config deployments. It doesn't mean that you might get rid your config files from Magento. It's not true. It's about configuration of your PHP environment, about adding modules, plugins, extensions, this kind of stuff. Second thing, it's out of the box prepared for massive scale, and especially in e-commerce, it's very important because for instance, I'm guessing. I have no access to analytics of my customers, but during let's say first day of holidays or something like this, probably a number of visitors will be lower than during Black Friday, right? So it supports peak traffic, and it's proven by our customers, as you see, Best Buy, for instance. And very interesting thing is that you are paying for when your code is running, not for waiting for having servers. And it's very interesting feature, and it's the reason why it's nice to be interested in serverless. Okay, and this is example architecture which you might deploy using App Engine. This is a cloud load balancer. It takes care about load balancing traffic to our Magento instances. This box is grouped in here in subnetwork. Provides our Magento. It's just using our App Engine. This App Engine is taking care about providing full backend for our service from, let's say, backend point of view. And then there are a group of services which are used by Magento. We decided to present you this approach when databases for Magento are split into 3 parts. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with this approach, but for really big deployments of Magento, it's a good idea to do not put everything in single database in order to simplify many operational things. Right? For instance, our customers really likes analyzing of data, likes integration with their warehouses, integration with this kind of stuff. So it's the reason why it's split in terms of providing incredible performance. What's next? We placed here also caching layer based on Redis. It's fully managed by Google, by GCP. So you need to just define amount of RAM, click, and this is it. Cloud pops up in terms of integration with third-party services or the delivery systems, this kind of stuff, maybe analytics. And there is also Elasticsearch, yes, Elasticache. Okay, so it's about caching and searching. Okay. Why it's nice also to use App Engine? It provides feature. It makes possible to use approaches like A/B testing. Are you familiar with this approach? Okay, so A/B testing means that you might deploy in production more than single version of application in the same time. For instance, one of this version might be, let's say, available for 5% of customers, for example, and then you might, based on behavior of this 5% of customers, you might decide if you shall, let's say, update your layout, update your images, this kind of stuff. A lot of things to do, and you, based on real input, real data collected from real business, you might provide sensible decisions. In Google, we are making decisions based on numbers, not because we are thinking that it's cool. No, we measure everything, and I strongly recommend to think if you can do it in your job too. Okay, blue-green deployments, it's a way to deploy service without downtime. So during deployment, we might have more than one, blue-green deployments, it's about having more than single, let's say, version of service in production in same time, and then when we confirm that new version is working, then we might just switch to new version and gracefully remove old one. Of course, we have features like rollbacks and this kind of stuff. But as you see, this approach is quite hard to achieve in standard infrastructure. When you are, let's say, uploading files via FTP to shared hosting or something like this, it's not so easy to just do it. It also implies that you are following not immutable infrastructure approach. So no changes on living infrastructure. You are just replacing it, and it's an approach which works fine in cloud. Okay, as I said previously, Magento is not only about selling, but it's also about analyzing data, because this data makes possible to sell more. It's probably what you would like to achieve as a people which are using Magento. And here we would like to present that, of course, when your page is visited by massive amount of customers, it's not so good idea to use only one database for analyzing and for, let's say, real life orders. It might cause deadlocks, this kind of stuff, slow down your page, and at the end your income will be not so good as you expect. So we recommend to provide great replicas. Of course, it is supported by SQL. It's other service available in GCP, and this great replica might be used as source for your favorite charting tool, like Tableau, Looker, iCharts, whatever you want. Caching, as I said, it's about fully managed service, in-memory database, Redis. Are you familiar with Redis? Okay, same hand, same hands. Yeah. So probably you heard about it. It's in-memory data store. It has option for storing data for have backup on hard drive, but yeah, it's HA. It scales, so we provide it as a managed service in GCP. PubSub, as I said, it's a PubSub, have you any idea what is the source of this name? Yes, very good. So it's about publishing and subscribing messages. There is a plugin which we might connect to Magento, and then you might publish messages and connect other services. It's a good idea to connect services via messaging systems. It's about integration patterns, right? But probably you have this kind of use cases in your real world that close to your Magento there are, let's say, data warehouse. There is a warehouse with products, this kind of stuff. And you might need to or maybe some kind of accounting system. It depends on your setup. And it's the way how you might easily connect it. And Cloud PubSub is used internally by Google services. When you imagine then that Google has 7 products with more than 1 billion of users. Yeah? So this tool is able to handle this massive amount of events. We are using the same tool internally, right? So for instance, YouTube or search or this kind of Gmail, these services are using it behind the scene. Okay, at almost the end, it's just quick overview of GCP regions because we are available in many regions, not around the world yet, but as you see in many places, probably you are mostly interested in Europe. As you see, there are 5 regions in Europe, so it means that there are places when you can deploy your stuff. And what is interesting, this slide presents Google's networking setup. So it means that when the internet traffic reaches this black dot, it means a point of presence. All traffic to GCP region goes via internal networking in Google. So it speeds up whole let's say response time, and it makes your request really safe because it's protected by our networking, our hardware, this kind of stuff. It's a quite complex topic for many other presentations. And yeah, so benefits using serverless model in GCP, serverless, but as Piotr said, please reconsider it once again, because in, let's say, last month, we really started to define this serverless, and it's more than function as a service. It's quick to deploy for you as a developer, as an operational guys. We want to configure, install PHP, check if it's very available in proper version on particular operating system, and after upgrade it's too new because your old plugin requires older one. You want to manage it. Just click and deploy. Scalable, handle amount of traffic, reliable, and it has excellent networking. Thank you. Have you any questions?
Maybe just one extra thing for me about the split database topic, right? It's a feature that it's existing only in the enterprise version of in the commerce, Magento Commerce, right? It's not available in the open source one, and it's actually not available in Magento Cloud itself. So it's a commerce feature, right? So yeah. Which is, as Krzysztof said, like the point of having it is about performance, but it also adds additional, let's say, regime to the developers, because they cannot, let's say, freely code anymore that much. They have to follow some, let's say, patterns. They cannot do direct SQL queries in the code. I mean, that's bad anyway, but yeah, you have to follow, let's say, the right patterns and use the right resources. Each of the database, basically, standard is to have 3, and each of them are having own, let's say, resource to connect to the DB. So yeah, you cannot also do cross joins between some tables, because then, well, basically the code will not work, and you will start to see some fancy errors. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And if there are any questions, we are happy to answer those. You can also talk later if you like.